Boom, boom, kaboom. Hello and welcome everybody to this special impromptu podcast, if you will, a Q&A session, sort of a info blast or just what's going on and just a quick update before things kick off and get rolling this Sunday. So first off, welcome to the people in the chat and those who will join me shortly, including my good buddy Stinkin' Corpse. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Guys, if you're in the chat right now, just at least let me know how the audio is, if everything is coming through and looking okay on your end. I'm not going to take up a ton of your time tonight. This is not going to be a real long kind of podcast kind of thing. So, but yeah, definitely just wanted to get a few things out of the way, and hopefully just going to let some people roll in here in a bit, and hopefully some regulars, maybe some new people as well, and get some. Have some questions, some Q&A, and just kind of I want to hit running coming on Sunday, so all right, so just kind of hey, Pink Pickles, what's going on? We got the game complainers here as well, two of my fantastic friends from down south. Okay, so just to kind of get people up to speed, up and running, for those of you who are in the chat, or for those of you who don't know, or for those of you catching this on the replay, yes, I am Newf Newcomb. I am back, and I'm going to be back hopefully in a big way starting this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern. That is 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and that is 9 a.m. Central Time. My new podcast called Crazy About Gaming kicks off, and I'm super excited about it. I was riding on the fence for a long time on this one. I think the time is right. I just got that feeling in my, that I want to give this one more an honest effort, and I want it to be a show that hopefully resonates with as many people as possible. It's something that doesn't alienate people. It's something that everybody can watch, no matter what your age category. We can all have fun, obviously chat about gaming. As you know, one of the things about my channel has and always will be, hopefully, is to engage with the chat, because you are as much of the show as I am the host of a podcast. A lot of our great conversations and topics sometimes stem from the conversations that you have in the chat. So yeah. So obviously, like I said, it kicks off on Sunday. It's called Crazy About Gaming, because I think anybody who's known me over the years and people that still follow me know that, yes, for the most part, well, one, I'm kind of crazy, so that makes tons of sense. And I do love gaming, and I'm crazy about gaming. I mean, I do love gaming. It's been a huge part of my life since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. For those who aren't familiar with the story, I started out way back, on the Atari 2600 and the Sega Master System. That's right, Sega Master System. I was a Sega kid growing up. I love Sega. I still do to this day. I had pretty much every Sega console that you can ever think of. I've had almost every single Nintendo console that you can ever think of. I'd say the only Nintendo console I never ever owned was that Virtual Boy. Never cared for that one. Okay, never owned the Virtual Boy. To be honest, though, in terms of Sega, even though it's a Sega kid, believe this or not, I never did own a Sega Game Gear. I never had a Sega Game Gear. I never owned the Nomad. But I had like I said, I had the Master System. I had the Sega Genesis. Then I had that, what do you call it? I even had the thing that went in the converter or whatever that would go down in the Sega Genesis to play your Master System games, and and I had the Sega Saturn, and I had obviously the Dreamcast, and I had various versions of Sega Saturn, various versions of the various versions of the Genesis. You know what I mean? So I was definitely a big Sega kid, loved all their games. To be honest, I never had the 32X either, because the reason I didn't get 32X, because 32X was kind of their stopgap console that was more or less for people that really didn't have the funds to go out and buy the Sega, the Saturn, obviously, right? So I get why they did it, but I don't think 32X had some modest success, and it had some pretty good games, but it certainly wasn't the step up that a lot of Sega fans had hoped for when it did come out. Obviously the Sega Saturn run circles around it, and I had Nintendo too. So when I had the Sega Master System, it wasn't long after that I had a Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Then I had I mean, logical procession. I had the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color. I had Nintendo DS, and then I had the DS Lite and the 3DS, and I mean the list goes on, right? I mean, crazy stuff, right? But I mean, I love games. Sony wise, I've had every single Sony product pretty much except for when the PSP came out. I had the PSP, and I love that. That was literally one of my favorite PlayStation launches of any system they've ever made. I remember how excited I was to play the PlayStation Portable. Not only did it look cool, and I thought what do you call it? Those the UMDs were really cool. But all the shit you could do with that thing at the time. Watching the movies, and it had a little web browser on it, and you could play audio stuff on there. Like the PSP was a damn beast and little portable, man. I love that thing, and that was so cool because Sony put their full weight behind the PSP, which was awesome. They had the movies, they had the games, and they put a lot of big titles on there. Unlike the Vita, which Sony just kind of, I don't know, they shit the bed on that one royally because that was fantastic hardware. They just kind of walked away from it way too early. There was a lot more support in Japan for the Vita, but unfortunately, it didn't do so well over here. And it wasn't because, again, they didn't have the hardware. The price point wasn't there. It's just because they just didn't have enough games. And Sony certainly didn't put a lot. I mean, they had that one Uncharted game came out. And of course, any franchise that comes out on a new hardware is never going to sell exceptionally well in its first couple of years because the adoption is not there. The hardware adoption is not there. So it takes a while for, those launch titles to really kind of get back a lot of the money and stuff that they put in, right? So catch up with the chat again. We got some amazing people here. Stinking Corpse hanging out with us. John 907's in the chat. Safety is here as well, and our good buddy RWK. But anyway, enough of this sort of the walk down memory lane and history session aside. Like I said, I'm crazy about gaming. I love gaming. I love all the consoles. Right now, for those of you kind of wondering what I'm rocking, obviously I'm currently in my household, and it's sad because I used to have a lot of systems, but currently what I do own, what I still have, either by repurchase or never got rid of it, like I do have a PlayStation Vita. I have the PlayStation 5. I have the Xbox Series X. I have the Xbox One X. I have the Nintendo Switch 2. I have the original Xbox. So that's kind of it. And I have the Sega Genesis Classic Mini or whatever. But as far as like consoles, that's pretty much it. That's kind of all the hardware that I have nowadays. But the main thing is I used my PSP as an MP3 player when the iPod, and it was awesome, dude. I remember listening to so much music on the PSP back when that came out, man. I had all these tracks downloaded to my memory card, and I used to listen to some tracks, and man, I was watching lots of movies on there, and it was so good, man. The Sega CD, that was awesome too, man. That was such a great little add-on for the original Sega. Obviously, it had some much better audio capabilities and stuff, and some of those cool the old at the time, a lot of those games with the what do you call it, full motion video, the FMV. All right, so how is Crazy About Gaming similar? How is it going to be different than everything that you've seen Nuke Nukem a part of in the past? Okay, first of all, runtime. So something that I think, and this goes for a lot of podcasts. I'm not pointing fingers, but I think it goes for everybody, and that was me included, that a lot of podcasts, not saying in every scenario, but a lot of podcasts are getting long in the tooth. And I don't mean they're not entertaining, but I think runtimes have gotten excessively long. Now, sure, runtimes when it's called for, when podcasts sometimes hit the upper echelon of, 3 hours, 4 hours, and you're talking about stuff like the E3s or, some of these, major announcements and things like that. I totally get it. And it doesn't take long to hit 2 and 3 hours, especially when you've got, panels of 4, 5, 6 or more people on there. It can definitely get very, very busy. And of course you get on the rants and everything else too, right? So totally get that. But I'm gonna aim for 60 minutes. I mean, because it's gonna be on Sunday mornings. I don't want to Sunday mornings is like a relaxation day for most people, but it's also gonna be a very busy day. whether you're getting chores done or going shopping, catching groceries, watching NFL football. I know Sundays are a big day for NFL football, especially for you guys south of the border. But I think Sunday mornings work pretty well. In the past, they worked pretty good when I used to be the host for Good Morning Xbox. It was a little bit earlier because at the time I was doing that at that used to be 9 Eastern, so that was like 7 in the morning. So then I'd have to get up quite a bit earlier. So even that extra hour, coming on now at 8 my time and 10 in the morning, I don't think that's too bad. I don't know how you guys feel about the time, but I'd love to know in the chat. Are you cool with Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern? Right? That's 9 Central and 8. Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. Just tell me that time is pretty good. You're cool with that time. In the past, in a large part because of my time zone, being on the West Coast in Canada, which I'm in Mountain Time, so I'm up here in Alberta. So for right now, for example, it's 8:11 in the evening. So that really a lot of times would kind of nullify anybody that wanted to watch or listen to my podcast live, especially people that are in Europe or the UK, stuff like that. So, that's why I think Sunday works good. And typically Sunday is not a real busy day podcast wise. There are a few other podcasts in the time slot, but I think Sunday just seems to work. And from what I'm seeing in the chat and from what I've already heard from the preliminary discussions is that the time is actually not bad. So mere 4 hours ahead, so that suits them good, says John. Work and new podcast in the background. Thanks, D. Greatly appreciate you, man. Good to see you here. Thunder Summers Pro, what's going on? Good to see a hockey fan in the house. I could be wrong, but did I see your Wicked Hot here earlier? I don't know if he was here. Yes, I think Wicked Hot was here. Maybe he is. Yeah, I think he is here. There he is. Wicked Hot is in the house. Good to see you, Wicked. Good to see you, man. Working, checking out podcasts, all that stuff. So similarities, obviously, it has Noof Nukem. Some people love me, some people hate me, some people are indifferent. But I think the majority of you who are here for a reason because you like how I articulate or, perhaps you like my sense of humor. And don't worry, Crazy About Gaming will still be, Noof Nukem. That will still be, I'm sure, fairly funny. But I will disappoint you and say one thing that will be different. It's a lot of the personalities and personas that you've gotten used to over the years with things like Gaming After Dark won't be making an appearance here. And that's largely because my podcast is also going to tone it back a little bit. There's nothing wrong with being funny. There's nothing really wrong with the rhetoric. But being a Sunday early morning podcast and also trying to extend my audience a little bit more, I've decided I'm going to reel it back in a little bit and just kind of be a little more appealing to everybody as opposed to just certain older demographics. Conflicts at Good Morning Access with Axel and Ames. Hey man, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but there's only so many hours in a day, and there's a lot of podcasts out there. So like I said, the good news is the diehards, the people that love me, are certainly going to come over and check me out, or maybe they're going to bounce between two podcasts. And being that I'm 60 minutes, I'm probably going to be wrapped up long before most of them are even over. But I want to make it quick. I want to have a very structured podcast. And what I mean by that is I don't want it to feel like it's all over the place or there's no continuity between ideas. So basically, it's going to be set up with we come on, we chat about what we're playing. And of course, we talk about the new game releases on each platform throughout the week. Any major sort of articles or issues that have come down from the big three, obviously Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. But I also want to keep it very positive. I'm going to try my damnedest, and it's not always easy. And even when you're not trying to be, it can come across sometimes as it's console war shit, right? Because it just depends on which side of the fence you're on. I've said stuff in the past that certainly wasn't intended or should have ever been perceived as console war stuff, but it somehow gets taken that way because you got one side of the audience that looks at me as a PlayStation guy. You're going to have another side of the audience that goes, well, Noof's an Xbox guy. And other people that probably going, Noof don't know what the fuck he is. He's in one day, he's out the next day, he's back, he's gone, he's back, he's gone, he's Xbox One, he's PlayStation. Look, I've never left any of them. I've given every single console, every single manufacturer, every single one of these guys props whenever it was due. And if you go back to my channel and you look at over 10 years, you will see that if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with me, you're going to know that I was never a console war guy. That doesn't mean I didn't dabble my toes in the pool once in a while, but I wasn't fucking, like, I never had clickbait shit on there. I never just, week after week, just constantly find a reason to shit on one company or another. Overall, if anybody I've shit on probably the most might be Nintendo, because Nintendo can't get their foot out of their ass on the best of days. But, with saying that, Nintendo, like, they do a lot of stuff right, too. Nintendo kind of runs their company like I wish that Sony and Microsoft more or less would. That is, they focus on great games. They don't get wrapped up in the bullshit. They're certainly not chasing around the power narratives and all this and that and something else, but they're just giving you great games. And right now, even better, because it looks like the Switch 2 is really picking up steam when it comes to like third-party support. And we're starting to see big name games coming to the Switch, and Switch name like either on day one or like within several months. I mean, we've had Assassin's Creed Shadows drop on the Switch. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I mean, Axel does a great job with Good Morning. I'm not here to run down Axel. Axel's a friend of mine. Like, Axel does a great job, and I think he's done magnificent with Good Morning Xbox. I mean, I love how he runs the show. His show on Friday nights is a hell of a lot of fun with the Iconic Video Game Podcast. But that's what I'm planning to do. With my show is just kind of trim the fat a little bit. You know what I mean? Sorry guys, I can't lose weight any faster than I am. I'm trying to lose weight, god damn it, but I'm still a chunky monkey. Look, but it's just kind of be like let's just say, and I'm coming from a radio background, it has to be tighter, right? So it'll have a structure to it, so you can kind of count on certain segments each and every week to kind of run, and hopefully, like I said, we'll hit that 60 minutes in and out. Any information you missed or whatnot, but I'm also, if things go well, and my intention is that over time, I want to have I want to have some great guests on here. Now they're going to be guests from the community, they're going to be guests from my former podcasts, but hopefully we'll also get some developer interviews. Any indie guys out there, anybody that's listening, or if you guys know an indie developer that you think would just like to come on my channel and introduce themselves to you, that would be amazing. I think that's awesome. I think indie guys should, come on smaller shows and have a chance to introduce themselves, to the public, and, maybe bring a few more eyes on their game. Yeah. My channel is not to the point that it's big and I'm going to sound like I'm going to help these guys sell 1 million copies. But, if I can get some great guests on here, we can have some awesome conversation, especially former devs. That would be a dream come true, man, to get a guy like Cliffy B on here. Like, Cliffy's been an icon for mine since Gears of War, and he still is an icon. Yeah, he's got a reputation, but I think in the last couple of years, you see he's getting older. I think he's coming down a little bit, and I'm sure he's, he's taking care of his ways sometimes. And yeah, man, like I said, if I can get Cliffy on, but I don't think I have a way to send him a DM. I can reach out to him. At least I can send him like an @ on Twitter or whatever. But if I could get Cliffy on, for 30, 40 minutes and just, talk about the state of the game industry, his experience with Gears, and, I'd certainly love to have him on after we see like some footage of Gears of War Emergence Day, because I'd like to get his kind of take on where the franchise is, as opposed to where it was, and what he hopes to see moving forward, which would be amazing. And I'm glad that you like the sound of that, John. I'm going to have some guests on, guys. I'm going to warn you in advance. There's going to be some guests on that maybe you don't like, but I hope that, by having some of these guys on my show, that maybe you get to see them in a different light, or maybe you get a different opinion of some of the people. Maybe the people you like, maybe the people you don't like. But I don't want to be so picky and choosy. You got to get rid of that. They're a PlayStation pony, or they're an Xbox, or that, you got to come into Crazy About Gaming with sort of an open mind and give everybody a chance to have their say. Tech Talk would be amazing. I'd love to get guys on. Like, that's a guy that I definitely will probably have on the show fairly often. I don't know if you are familiar with my old buddy Mental 9R, but Mental is an absolute he's an absolute dynamite guy, and he's an absolute like techie guy. He knows his shit. He especially knows hardware. He knows the PC side of things. So definitely got to get Mental Nine R to come on the show at some point, especially when there's like new hardware, new launches. So right, so yeah. Tech Talk with the Dev is awesome. I mean, to get a guy on, say, like, obviously, who's pretty well renowned, like somebody like Jason Rawl would be really cool. What's going on? The Game Adaptation Newscast. Good to see you in the chat. Fellow Newf could be a great guest. Absolutely. Would love to have a fellow Newfoundlander on the show. And like, I'm open to new people. I mean, if there's one thing that you guys can all admit is I have certainly given a fair share of this community their shot at podcasting. Some of them have done really well. Some have been, much like my own channel, just kind of like the modest growth. But, I've given a lot of people their shot. And I'm not saying I'm a bigwig, but you got to admit, that, I put myself out there. Speaking of the big shot, speaking of the big boys now, yes, from small, humble beginnings to one of the most enigmatic, is that the word, enigmatic? Certainly one of the most charismatic, funny, and intelligent people I know. My good friend, the Mag, is in the chat. Good to see you, brother Mag. Now, there's a guy I can almost guarantee you will be on the podcast at some point, okay? Time permitting, I'm sure he will make a Sunday morning open for his good buddy Newf. If all goes well, maybe Mag could even convince me to get the legend himself, Mr. Colt Eastwood, to come in for 15 minutes, perhaps. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so in a nutshell, 60 minutes, structured podcast, in and out. Just a great way to start a Sunday morning, me hanging out with you, you hanging out with me, and us talking about stuff that we like. That's gaming. Yes, I will hide I can hide my cats. Mag has the naked cats, okay? Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's good to be back in front of the camera, in front of the microphone. Okay, so first of all, here's question number one for you guys. And if you got questions for me, please leave them in the chat. But my first question is, do you prefer on camera or off camera? That's the first question. I know some people like to look at the host. Some people don't give a shit. I mean, personally, I'd rather not be on the camera, but I also find it to be more engaging when you are, a lot of times, because you can see emotion and that sort of thing. So Max is on camera. All right, there we go. We got one. Colt is a fraud, shill, and a grifter. We got our first super chat of the evening. He's coming in from our good brother D487. He drops $10. He says, Mag, the guy owes me $5. Just kidding. Mag, you better pay up, bro. On camera, bro, damn, you look good. Well, thanks for the compliment, John 907. I am certainly still a work in progress. I would like to, get off 50 or 60 pounds because I'm a little bit on the chunky monkey side of things. But, outside of that, looking forward to. So on camera, it sounds like everybody seems to be happy with that. We've already talked about the time. The time seems to be adequate for the majority of people, which is great. Because you know me, I love live chats. When I'm watching podcasts, I love to be there live. Like, to me, that's half of the kick. I love jumping into people's podcasts while they're live. So the conversation is sort of current, and there's interaction between the hosts and the people, obviously, in the chat, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about game releases for each of the consoles, obviously, while they're current, whatever's out. We'll probably talk about some of the big reviews, some of the most disappointing reviews. And I'd like to get some people's experience about some of the games as well, what games they're playing, and we, hopefully elaborate on that. So, what kind of things have you guys in the chat? I mean, when you're coming to a podcast, what are a few of the things that you would like to see, or you'd certainly like to hear or see from my show? You got any questions about that, or you got any comments? Because I want to try to incorporate that, and I want to try to make you guys a big part of the show, and I want to make sure that, I'm covering all the bases. Now, I think that Crazy About Gaming is certainly going to be a work in progress, an evolution, not a revolution, but an evolution of my traditional podcast, and certainly, well, like I said, just something quick, something fun, and keep it on. And that's one good thing about, I guess, doing a solo show. And it's something you guys, something I really haven't ever done is I haven't really done a solo podcast in the way that my good brother Mag has done for the past while. I've always kind of had a panel, and panels can be great, but panels can also be hard to manage at times. And panels can certainly, depending on the mood, the topics, panels can be all over the board. Topics can either run way too long or way too short, depending on who's chatting, that sort of stuff. So I think by doing the solo thing, it helps me keep on sort of track on a timeline, that sort of stuff. Yeah, well, John, that's exactly what you're going to get. I'm not planning to bring in bias, but again, some of it's going to be the way people perceive it, because if I'm talking about something newsworthy, but it happens to have sort of a negative aspect, okay? Like let's just talk about these numbers, the Xbox numbers, for example, right? They're down. They're down 32% in the Xbox division. That's not good news. That's not the kind of great news you want to report on. I'll certainly happily report when they're up 32% too. So that would be fantastic. But why they're down could be a number of factors, I guess, right? And I think Microsoft has done a very good. It's not just the fans. I think they've done a very good job of kicking themselves in their own teeth in the last year and a half, between all the price increases, hardware shortages, mixed messaging, game delays, the the layoffs. But with saying that, they've had one hell of a year too, which is really weird, right? Because if you look at 2025, Xbox came out swinging. I mean, so many great games. They had Avowed that came out last year, which I think was a solid game. And then we had South of Midnight, another fantastic game. I got to play that. Really loved that. A lot of personality, a lot of love in that game. You could definitely tell. The list goes on. But they come up with Call of Duty this year, and Call of Duty's numbers were just not there. Yeah, it's facts and not opinion, right? That's sometimes facts dictate opinions. But I'm going to. I come from all sides of the fence because I love Xbox and I love PlayStation and I love Nintendo. I switch back and forth every single day. One day I'm on the PlayStation, next day I'm on the Xbox, next day I'm on Nintendo. I'm playing different shit all the time. So, and that's the thing about me. Like I've always been a multi-platform gamer, so I don't hate anything. There's things about each company I hate. There's things I love about each company. So you have to, pick and choose the battles, right? You have to listen to what I'm saying because a lot of people it's like context, they take what they want to hear and they forget about the rest. And then they make up a narrative based on what they think they thought you said, right? And it's been going on for years. This is nothing new and it's not going to be new. I'm sure I'm going to have, the trolls are still going to come into crazy about gaming. They're going to say, well, noob is this or noob is that, noob something else. That's up to them. But, I'm not going to put up with immaturity either. I don't like it when my chat is attacking each other, and I certainly don't like it when the chat is, if you got a gripe with me about something, that's fine. That's cool. Let's be adults, right? We're none of us here are spring chickens. But, make it justifiable. So they say, the one thing I used to always hate, especially when I ran some of my sort of pro Xbox podcasts, you get those idiots that come into your chat, and the first fucking thing they'd say is, Xbox got no games. Xbox is this, and Xbox is that. And you're like, fuck off. Right now, Xbox has the most goddamn games, okay? So put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Xbox has largely been carrying the industry on their back in the last year and a half. Sony has been fucking out the lunch. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Yo, what's going on, Stevie Mac? Good to see you, man. Did you shit yourself? That's one way to empty out the checkout lanes. No, but, I want it to be a fun podcast, right? I want to send people out on a Sunday morning just having a good time and having a couple of laughs and just chatting games. It's a back and forth conversation. I just happen to be the guy on the screen. I want to get some great guests in there. That's going to be a huge part. I'm going to try to line up a lot of people. Like I said, some of my past co-panel members, some guys from the industry, hopefully some guys from maybe some other podcasts. And again, I want to get your opinions. I want to hear, if you want to private DM me and send me a list of people you'd love to see on the podcast. And I think if the names are popping up enough, like we see a lot of the names, I'm going to try my best to get them on. Some guys are probably going to turn me down or give me every excuse in the book because Newf Nukem is just, I'm not cool enough or I'm not part of that circle anymore, whatever. But I don't hold any grudges. Guys have said a lot of shit behind my back in the last years, guys. I'm not stupid. I hear things. And I got people that tell me things. And I'm not stupid. I know people said shit about me. And you know what? I don't really care. It's fine. I don't hold grudges. I got no bones to pick with anybody from the games industry. Life is too short to be childish, right? Life is too short. I don't care. Some of you might hate this guy. Some of you might hate that guy. Some of you might think that guy's a dick. But you know what? The thing is, too, I can be a dick. I can be a prick. I can be all of those sorts of things. But generally, I'm a nice guy. And I think anybody who's ever met me, and, Mag has met me personally. I think Mag will let you know that, yes, I'm definitely probably as crazy and as weird as I come across sometimes. But I'm also a very good guy with a big heart. And I definitely care. I care about the games industry. I care about the community. I certainly care about all you guys in the chat. Speaking of caring, shout out to the amazing Sir X-Man, who I hope can make his return to podcasting and join us in the chats at some point. If you haven't been following the developments, Sir X-Man has gone through a couple of strokes in the past while. He had one fairly recently. I think it was before Christmas now. And, and I think this one hit him hard. Coming off back-to-back, it's tough. Shout out to, again, and I will never forget her for as long as I live, the amazing Assassin Lupa. There's a name a lot of people haven't heard for a while, and I haven't heard from her. I have no idea. The last thing I knew about Assassin Lupa was she's a sweetheart. She was an amazing friend and a fan, and she went in for some surgery. She'd had a lot of brain, I don't know, something. She had something with the head, the brain, and she'd had numerous surgeries over the years. And the last time she was getting one, she said, she told me she was scared with this one because, there's only so many times you can go through some of this shit before, the recovery is just not there. I am a butthead atheist. I appreciate that. Good. And I love you guys, man. I play games with you guys. And that's another thing. And that's another thing I want to be a part of this show, Crazy About Gaming, is I want to start making community game night a thing. I want it to become the rage. Honestly, I would be more happy with a successful community game night than I would be with this podcast being successful. Because community game nights are where it's at. They're super fun. Everybody's having a good time. We're playing games that we like with the community that we like. We're just having a great laugh. We try to keep, the religious stuff out, the politics stuff out, the gaming crap out. You know what I mean? So shout out to Assassin Lupa, though. Sweetheart, I hope if she is listening or if she ever, that I've never forgotten about her, and I think the community hasn't either. And that's prayers to Sir X-Man. And to all those who've, have fallen on rough times, health-wise, financially, that sort of thing. Amazing community, guys. You got to stick together. It's not always easy, but no, you guys are amazing. But yeah, so again, it's going to be an evolution. The podcast might start out a little bit slow, but I have ideas for it. It's going to take a little bit of time to implement. Maybe highlights and clips of community game night as a background video. That does sound really good, and I like your idea. It's just figuring out a way to go about it. Now, maybe I just got to figure out a way maybe to put it, because I don't run things like Elgato's and all of that fancy stuff here. Unlike a lot of my other podcast friends who've got the big setups and everything, they do all that stuff. So if I can figure out a way to make it happen, I could certainly do so. I know Perry Game Complainers in the chat. Perry often likes to stream a lot of the community game nights, so that's really cool. So, which is fun, because obviously he gets content up on his channel too, and I think it's great. I really don't care who streams community. The reason I don't often stream community game nights is because my internet connection is usually the shit. It's usually the shits on the best of days. And usually because I'm like one of the only guys on the West Coast, and most of you guys playing community game nights, or you're like in the UK or you're on the East Coast, I always find you guys seem to have better connections than me. So I usually don't tend to stream because streaming hogs up a lot of bandwidth, and therefore I get lag. And and you know me, I get angry in the best of days when I'm playing like dog shit, but I get even angrier when I know like the lag is just crucified me, right? Dude, we'll play some Battlefield 6 maybe tonight if you're on, man. I'm sure we'll have a good old Talos waiting in the wings. Maybe Stevie Mac wants to join us, or Wicked Hot, or Game Complainers. Whoever wants to jump on, man. Battlefield 6, it's awesome. Now, if you're on the Xbox, I have the PlayStation copy, but again, it is crossplay. Just make sure you have that turned on, and make sure you add the real Nuke Nukem on the EA ID, and we should be able to hook up and play crossplay, which I think is fantastic. Crossplay is certainly one of those. Crossplay is honestly one of the coolest, most underrated things that we've had in the industry over years. I remember when that was a taboo thing, when nobody really wanted to do crossplay because they thought it would be detrimental or would hurt their platform a lot. Hey, Talos, what's going on? I was just talking about you, brother. I was just saying how Saithius is saying he wants to play some Battlefield. And I said, who knows? Maybe I'll play it after this podcast, and said maybe you'll join us. And here you are. Yeah, I might pick up Battlefield 6 on the Xbox as well, just so I can play it with my favorite controller. But it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm glad you're here. That's awesome. But crossplay is amazing. But you remember when that was taboo? Like when most people were like, nah, this company won't do it, and other companies refused to kind of do it for a very long time. And now like a lot of the third-party stuff has it, and like it's really cool. It's cool to see how the industry in many ways has changed. You take a game like, Helldivers 2, for example, which has enjoyed immense success on PlayStation 5, but it's also seeing quite a bit of success on Xbox. And it's kind of funny, when you look at it, because Xbox traditionally does seem to do really, really well when it comes to multiplayer shooter style games. So I'm not really surprised. I am surprised that there's a lot of Xbox guys that adopted that game. That I weren't sure they would. I mean, I had it on the PS5 and I traded my copy. Kind of still wish I had it. It is a lot of fun, though. If you never played Helldivers 2, I recommend it. It is a lot of fun. It's great fun with your friends. And I think the crossplay aspect now is fantastic. Playing PS5 and the community on that game. The community was one of the best communities that I've ever met. I met random guys on it that were just absolutely awesome and would help you out. It's so cool. Another game that's free to play that I've been having a bit of fun with, I don't know if anybody in the chat has tried it, but it's called First Descendants. It's pretty cool. I love the mechanics in the game. It has super good graphics, and the play control is dynamite. And it does have a long, grindy, like collectathon bullshit, which typically comes with free to play kind of games. But it is a lot of fun, and it's fun to play with friends. Like I said, it's really good shooting mechanics. Kind of reminds me a lot of Anthem without the flying. And speaking of Anthem, I don't know if you guys saw the article recently, but there is, I think it's one of the ex devs of BioWare, I think, is trying to start this thing up to get like, I don't know, several, I don't know if it was like $10 million or something like that to kind of resurrect Anthem. Basically, like, perhaps buy out the licensing or whatever and bring the game back. Now that would be really cool. If any game deserves to come back, the booty physics game, you got a D. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's good to look at. It's nice to see really attractive characters, right? Mag's got the platinum in the First Descendant. Loved it. No, I'm not that far as you, Mag. Dude, like that's crazy. I don't even know what level I am. I like playing the girl. I'm trying to get some of the cool costumes, man. But holy fuck, what a grind! Another game I want to get back to, and there's a couple of games on my sort of getting back to backlog. I want to get back to playing the Division 2. I don't know if anybody has it, but I have it on Xbox, and I'd love to play it. It's amazing to play with friends. Division 2 is one of them, and the other game that I barely got started in it, and just kind of, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it at the time, and I think it would be great with friends, is that Gotham Knights game, which is not terrible by any means. I just don't know how who is it? Is it Crystal Dynamics did that one, or is it or was it Rocksteady? Didn't Rocksteady do Gotham Knights, if I'm correct? I just don't understand how you can go from Batman Arkham Knights and then you play Gotham Knights, and it's like, it feels like it's made by a completely different depth. First of all, the graphics were a massive downgrade. Now, that might have had to do something with the fact that, yeah, you're trying to run 4 players on a screen, that sort of stuff, which could have played a factor. But it just felt like the combat and the world and everything just didn't feel as cool to me. Was Warner Montreal? Holy shit! Wow, really cool. I mean, Warner Montreal. Those guys are no slouch either. They made Arkham Origins, and that game was fucking awesome. People shit all over Arkham Origins, but that game was damn good. And that Batman costume in Arkham Origins, damn, that was a cool costume. I love that game. I love all those Batman games. They're amazing. And I actually even have them on the Switch, and they look around pretty damn good. You know, the trilogy pack or whatever. Yeah, Division 2, man. I want to get back to playing that again. But yeah, crossplay is amazing. You know, like, and the only thing I don't like, and again, it's a nitpicky thing, I'm sure, but I don't like the crossplay with the PC shit. Okay, I'm not a PC guy. And every time I play Battlefield and I'm playing the PC, and that's a shout out to some of the PC guys. I'm not trying to take away. You guys are amazing. The PC guys, man, the guys who play PC for years and they've got that mouse keyboard shit down to a fucking science, they're insane. But that's the problem. It's like they're on another level, especially when it comes to the guys like the snipers. Like, fuck, man, you can't get away from these guys. They're like, you get shot once and you hide behind a friggin' cement wall, and they still pick you off. It's like, the PC guys are ridiculous. Now, some of them there is cheating. There's sometimes it's downright. It's like, yeah, that's a bit more than a guy with really good aim. There's definitely some of that. What do you call it? That cheating software running in the background. It's gonna hack my computer, maybe pay. Go ahead, man. Go right ahead. They're game complainers. There's not much to hack, man. It's not much to hack. But yeah, I wish, which is funny because I remember when Battlefield came out and they were going through the beta, they had said, or somebody said, or maybe I read it in an article, that they were supposed to have like multi-tiered cross-plat. That means it would be console to console only or console with PCs as well. And I could have swore they said they were just going to have, you could choose the fact, Xbox versus PlayStation guys. And I would have been fine with that. But they left it on. So when you do the crossplay now, unfortunately, you get a mix of both. When you get in a PC guy added in there and you look at his rank and he's like over 300, I guarantee he's probably going to smoke your ass 9 times out of 10. Like, geez Louise. But regardless, that's why I prefer to play on a single console. But then I realized I probably bought the wrong console version because I bought it for PlayStation. And I do find on PlayStation, a lot of the people that I have on my friends list don't seem to play a lot of multiplayer games. They seem to be like, up to their eyeballs in single player stuff. And it's really hard to get a group. I should have just bought it on Xbox because that's where, like I said, most of my Xbox buddies seem to like playing multiplayer games. And I think that's one of the reasons I've always still preferred Xbox, because of that fact alone, that a lot of the guys I made friends with on Xbox, they really like multiplayer, like, whether it's Call of Duty or Gears of War or Forza Horizon, but they really like that sort of shit, So, yeah. Now, Perry is an amazing guy, man. These guys, you don't know him like I do. I know him behind the scenes. I know him outside of the podcasting. And this is the thing, like a lot of guys in this podcasting stuff and the guys that come to the chats, you guys know a lot of these guys based on what you think you know. You look at them in a podcast and you think that you got them all figured out, but it's not like that at all. You got to remember that, and I think most sensible podcasters too, they make it clear. They don't just like me. I don't hit the ban hammer very easy. Like you gotta be ruffling some feathers, and you gotta be a pretty big douche canoe for me to kind of kick you out and ban you. You know what I mean? And I think the majority of podcasters, like, they usually give you fair warning, and the moderators usually give fair warning. But if you're gonna keep it up and you're just gonna be there to agitate, and you can have great conversations without being, that sort of stuff. So, well, sometimes it's, and the worst thing is, John, I'm going to refer to you here, is the problem too. And it's just like anything. We all know, and if anybody's had a cell phone in their life, which I'm pretty sure most of you do, we've all had those conversations with a loved one or a friend where shit gets taken out of context. When you're talking to someone, it's easy to figure out what they mean or how it comes across. Again, also another good reason to be on camera. But when you're chatting, when you're doing something in a chat, whether it's in a podcast chat or a phone, like, I could send somebody a message tomorrow. Like I could send my buddy a message being like sarcastic, like, you fucking prick. And my buddy could read that and think, oh, he's fucking pissed off at me. He just called me a fucking prick. You see what I mean? And I think a lot of that happens in the podcasting chats too. But anyway, I don't want to go down off on something, man. Look, I can't control what other people do, and you know what? They can also unban you too, right? So, what's going on, Nate? No, my friend, if you're asking me that question, I do not have the PS5 Pro. I have no intentions to get the PS5 Pro, and I'll tell you why. Because I spent a lot of money buying the PS4 Pro, and I did not feel like I got my money's worth out of that machine. Yeah, it was great. It was good. It was good. But, what made the PS4 Pro really seem lacking to me was when I bought the Xbox One X, and that thing was just amazing. It's like, now this is a real upgrade, but that PS4 Pro wasn't it. And the PS5 Pro, I don't know. Maybe the guys who have it think it's all that in a bag of chips, but at this point with the prices the way they are, I'm not paying $900. I just paid, fucking $600 for $600 or whatever the hell I paid up in Canada for a PS5, and I sure as hell ain't going up paying another $900 so I can get 10 more frames a second. If most of my games are hitting 60, even if they're running 1080p 60, I can live with that. But generally with me, I usually play in quality mode more often than performance anyway. Unless it's a shooter or a racing game, I'm okay with the 30 as long as it's solid, right? What is your next game you plan on getting? That is a fantastic question because there's so many games coming out soon. I mean, the next big game, essentially that's on the release schedule for me, I would probably say, if I could be wrong in this, but I think the next big one's probably Resident Evil Requiem, which is just around the corner. I like to have it. Don't know which version I'm getting yet, whether it's going to be PlayStation, Xbox, or on the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't know. The cool thing about Nintendo Switch 2, though, is I can play it on the big screen, and I can take it portably. So as long as it doesn't, have a lot of performance issues and stuff like that, then yeah. So as long as it doesn't have a lot of performance issues and different things, I certainly can't wait for it. It looks good from the video I've seen of it. I don't see a lot of huge differences between the Switch version and the other consoles. But again, I'm sure, somebody like Digital Foundry or a lot of my podcast friends will certainly have a comparison thing at some point in time. I do have the PSVR 2. Love it. Don't play it as much as I'd like. But it is amazing. Yes, and if you got a PSVR 2, great co-op game. It's called After the Fall. A lot of fun. Great to play that with people. I want to get that. Was it the Midnight? Is it called the Midnight Run? I think Perry said that Piggles picked it up. I don't know if she's played it yet on her PSVR, but I want to get that one. That looks really, really cool. It was the one that won the Game of the Year for VR this year. And it looks really, really cool. I think it's also in the MetaQuest, but I might pick it up on PlayStation. We'll see when it's on sale next. I missed the first sale, so I'll probably pick that one up at some point. So, yeah, but I have to say right now, Resident Evil. But this is going to be a crazy year for games, man, because right off the bat, I think I put my list. I had over 10 games, and that was just the ones I could think of. I have Gears of War E-Day. There's Resident Evil Requiem. Oh, God, Fable. Forza Horizon 6. Oh man, Wolverine. That's another one. Want to get Halo Combat Evolved. Want to get that remake, remaster, whatever the hell. That looks really good. So many great games. It's easy it does it on my list, and that's you got the Reanimal Collector's Edition coming for Xbox Series X. Can't wait. Reanimal. Is that one that's made by the team that Tarsier? That's the one that did the Little Nightmares game. Am I right, or am I thinking of something else? Yeah, that Midnight Walk, that looks awesome. Let me know when you play it because it really does look good. You just look at the video, it looks so engaging. And if you got a VR, whether it's MetaQuest or PlayStation VR, I highly recommend that you check out the Moss games. They're absolutely dynamite. Go check that out indeed. Those are really, really good. They're very cute, but they're actually really fun. They're not super long in length, but there's some, some action, some puzzly stuff, kind of almost like a top-down kind of Zelda-style game in a sense. It has those things there, but those are really good. That's something we've been doing as well, part of the community game nights, which I'd like to make more of a regular occurrence, and is to get more people into VR and that is with Community Game Night on VR. I can tell you that the people in the chat, at least a few of us, myself, Frank, Perry, Piggles, we've had Fred, we've had HTK, shout out to HTK. We've been Cerebral Paul, we've been playing Cerebral Paul not so much, but we did have a game with him a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we've been playing that Walkabout mini golf, and it's, oh my god, it is I can't even tell you. It's just, the game itself is solid. The courses are absolutely amazing, but it's a social experience about it. It's such a great social game, like to play with your friends, and you can play with 8 people, and it's so fun. They got these great downloadable like character models or avatars that you can use now, and they keep adding a lot of really crazy and cool stuff to it all the time. Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, if you want the latest and greatest, and you're and whatever works for you, right? Yeah, it is awesome, Perry, man. Like, and these are that is what gaming is about. To me, playing that golf with you guys is almost as close in today's society and today's gaming as what hanging out doing LAN parties was back in the day. It's almost that cool. It's cool because it literally sounds like when you're talking, like you're right next to me. And second of all, seeing your avatars and also seeing your avatar talking as you guys talk, it's just insane. It's just, I can't, yeah. And there's so many great, so especially on the MetaQuest. PSVR is a very straightforward, like it's a gaming VR, which is fine. But on the MetaQuest, they've got a lot of great stuff. Like remember Perry, we played that shooting game, which was actually a lot of fun. We're going around that map shooting each other with the guns. Like, there's a lot of great social, a lot of great gaming, but there's also a lot of great social stuff with the MetaQuest, right? So yeah, check it out. If you guys didn't get a MetaQuest, and you can get the MetaQuest 3S for like a really good price. It was on sale for quite a while, I think, after the holidays here. So pick one up if you get a chance. Trust me, once you get used to it and you kind of get acquainted to VR, it's not like you thinking or you have a perceive. And maybe if you play the old VRs and you kind of got a bad feeling of it, go try a new one. Get a friend to try, because it's way better when you have it set up properly and you have it like tuned properly. Just so much fun, so much fun. But anyway, like I said, I am super excited for Sunday to get this going with Crazy About Gaming, a multi-platform podcast focusing on the better things of gaming and not about a lot of the bullshit. I fully admit the last 2 years, it got a little bit easy sometimes to get wrapped up in some of the negativity and forget about all the great things that are still happening in the industry. And of course, when you focus more on the negativity, again, that sort of a console war, some of that silliness comes out. And I think you can be entertaining. I think you can be informative, but I can also think that you can do it in a way that, brings in a good audience, and you're having just a great. Thanks, John. I greatly appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you perhaps on Sunday mornings in the chat. Cougar Man is in the house. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you. Yes, the MILF Man, as we used to call him. Cougar Man now, or a little bit of both. But yeah, guys, I'm super excited about it. If there's anything I'm not excited about is some of those mornings I like to sleep in, but that's okay. I think the timing is great for me at 8:00 in the morning works really well. It's still early enough. My wife was like, well, what if we want to do things? I said, it's 8:00. And if I stick to the hour, I said, like, I'm up and out and ready to go, at 9:00 in the morning. So it gives me tons of time to do stuff throughout the day. Thanks, Talos. I really appreciate it, bro. You've been one of the nicest people I've had a chance to get acquainted with over the last couple of years. RWK, this whole people. And I can't forget about lots of other great people, too, like the people that I play games with on the regulars as well. People like Art Double, amazing guy, Matty Burns, and HTK, and our good friend Mike Mullis, and Cerebral Paul, and even 108 Dragons TV, shout out to him, Lemon. He came out to play Halo with us a few weeks back, and holy shit did we have a great time, having a blast. My good buddy Seamus Kelly, he gets to come out and play games with us once in a while. They're just so good, man. This is what I'm saying. The community game nights are the thing that should be taken off. I don't know why they don't. I don't know why people aren't. But speaking of community game nights, and this is where I'm also going, is one of the problems that has been about community game nights, and I know this is on me, but one of it is being consistent, okay? One is having a consistent day, consistent time. I get that. And that's tough. It's tough when you're busy, right? Weekends can always be tough. They can be unpredictable, especially for those of you with families. But it's finding a consistency. And the second biggest thing, and I'm finding it more now than we did in the past, because back in the 360 era, it wouldn't have been an issue because most of the games were on disc, and a lot of the rest of the games, they weren't that big. You're talking 7, 8 gigs, 15 gigs. A 20 gigabyte game would have been pretty fucking big during the 360 PS3 era. But now, like 20 gigabytes, that's a friggin' update. So this is where a lot of times community game nights run into trouble. And what's going to have to happen for these to be successful is we're going to need a selection of games. I can't be jumping around. So maybe, even if they're old games, but it needs to be a selection of games that people want to play, that people know they're going to be like on the hard drive, right? Because it's no good like deleting a game and then re-downloading and doing the updates. That's happened more than times than I can shake or count on my two hands is how many times you go to start community game night and somebody jumps into the party chat, gets ready to play, you go, oh shit, my game's got to update. And then it takes them like 2 hours. And by that time, the game is practically like we're probably almost over and getting ready to call it quits. So, by having a selection of go-to games and a little bit of, from column A, a little bit of column B, you got some shooters, some racers, some fighters, whatever it might be, but a selection of like, probably like 10 games that you can go to on a regular basis that you're not constantly deleting from the hard drive. That's the Call of Duties are rough because, man, until they figure out a way that you don't have to download like every game in the collection, like 300 gigabytes, man, come on. And then they're updating every time that Warzone gets an update, the whole thing updates, which is ridiculous. I don't even play Warzone, right? So why am I downloading all that crap? So that needs to change. But I don't control that stuff. But anyway, like I said, we'll get to the community game night down the road, but I would like to make it more of a thing. But I'm going to need your help to make it more of a thing. If people aren't interested, they're not interested. Maybe I'm just not fun to play games with. I don't know. I don't think I'm that bad to play games. I think I'm pretty easy going. Yeah, that certainly has got to be the kicker, man. Like, all these companies making these consoles and jipping us on the space, and then PlayStation, like, in a douchey ass move with their latest consoles, not PS5, but their latest iteration of the PS5. If you guys weren't aware, remember the PlayStation 5 came out. The Xbox Series X had the 1 terabyte. The PlayStation 5s didn't even give you the one. They gave you about 850 gigs or whatever the hell it was. And by the time you took away the operating system, you're down to about 700 something. But you still got to compensate for 20 to 60 gigabytes or whatever the hell they use for the operating. Sometimes they're even more than that. But the original PlayStations, the fat PS5s, like I said, they had less than a terabyte. And then they upgraded it when the Slims came out. They put them all with the 1 terabyte. And then just before Christmas, when they made that deal, when they were giving everybody the discount, they went back to rolling back to hard drive space again. It's like what the frig, man? Titanfall 2 is amazing. But I'd rather play that with friends because that crowd that we played Titanfall with last, those guys were nuts. Those guys live and breathe Titanfall. Like, they never left. Those are the kind of guys that I hate playing those shooter guys. They have that one shooter. They probably got 3 shooters, and that's all they play day in and day out. They play the one shooter. You know the ones because you play them in Call of Duty all the time. It's like, oh, this guy plays Call of Duty every year, and that's the only game he basically plays for the year is Call of Duty. And you could tell. Got the maps memorized inside and out. They know all the tricks of the trade. And you get there, and you just get absolutely annihilated. Like, you can't even get around a corner, like, and you're dead. You're like, what the hell was that? I hate that shit. Like, that to me, that's not fun. That's torment, right? I like to have a little bit of a least thinking I can win. Not going like, oh my God, I'm lucky that guy goes like, he's like 20-1, and you're like, yeah, I'm like the opposite. I'm like 1 kill and 20 deaths, So, no, Lord, for me, at least when I friend, I get to sniff it once in a while. Some of these guys don't even give you that. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about getting one of those upgraded HDDs from a PS5. Maybe if I can get at least a 2 terabyte. But the memory is still expensive, man, right now. And I don't think it's going to get any cheaper. Speaking of great guys to play games with, shout out to Back from the Dead who's in the chat. Got to play some Halo with him on the weekend. That was an absolute blast. Awesome guys in here. Jay Slayer, Jay is hitting here. The pro has two. Yeah, that's good. I mean, if you're gonna pay that price, at least he bumped up that, which is fantastic. But I don't understand how anybody can do a rollback on memory when memory is of a premium. As a matter of fact, speaking of memory, I just bought like a 256 gigabyte, one of those micro SD Express things for my Switch 2. So I've doubled my memory there, which is good because I was starting to get low. I hate constantly deleting games, especially to delete a game and you come back to it and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta re-download this shit again. Most of the games on Switch aren't too bad. I think some of the shooter games, some of that free-to-play shit's kind of massive. Like even the Fortnite game, I think is fucking over 60 gigabytes or some shit, but yeah, Sunday morning, guys. Like I said, if you have any comments, if you have any guests or people you'd like to see on the show, please hit me up. Send me a DM to say, Neil, I'd like to see you get this guy or that guy and all that sort of stuff. So, 6 terabytes. Hot damn. So, I have to ask you that, Real Nate. Maybe you can explain this to me in the chat. So if I was to buy the extra hard drive for the PlayStation 5, do I have to take out the one that's in there? So can you actually add memory, or are you just taking out the one that's in there and adding it that way? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Because if you can leave the 1 terabyte in there and you can add the extra memory, that would be awesome. But if you got to take out the one that's there just to get 2 terabytes, and essentially you only upgraded your memory by 1 terabyte, right? And that's what I think, guys. I don't know about everybody in the chat, but here's a question for you. So the next generation of consoles, no matter who they're from, obviously we know PlayStation is going to come out for sure with something. But what year are you guys cool with? Because I was saying this earlier tonight. To me personally, I'm happy with the current generation as is. I don't see a lot of problems with it from a performance and graphics standpoint. I don't think a lot of devs have even really fully tapped this console generation. So to me personally, if I don't see a new console till at least 2029, I'm okay with that. Because what I'd like to see happen is the industry sort of reverse a little bit and the prices kind of come down. Certainly memory prices and RAM and all the rest of that stuff come down so that when the new consoles do launch, we're not up in that $1,500 territory, because that's kind of where they seem like they're heading at the rate we're going. So, you're adding to it. I did not. That's something I actually did not know, believe it or not. That's good to know. So if I actually buy an extra one, so if I buy 2 terabytes, I essentially have close to 3 terabytes of memory. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, cool. And you do have to buy one with the, is it the heat sink or whatever the hell it is? You usually have those PlayStation endorsed ones. I'll probably go with one of those just to be on the safe side. Like, I can't believe the cost of those Xbox proprietary memory cards, like how much they still are, man. That's craziness. I had the Western Digital one like from about 1.5 years ago. I think it cost me almost $200 for the 1 terabyte at the time. I think it might be a little bit cheaper right now, but yeah, but the crazy stuff. All right. So yeah, Sunday morning, looking forward to getting off the ground. One thing I got to try to work on, I like to do an intro for the show. I've never really had a really cool intro in the past, so I'm actually thinking about writing my own song for the show. I don't. It may not debut on Sunday because it just depends on how much time if I can get it and get it recorded properly. But yeah, I like to, because I do play some guitar, and if I'd like to make my own riff for the intro of the show, which would be really cool. And shout out to the amazing 18 people that are actually watching this podcast right now. And shout out to the people that check this out on the replay. I appreciate your support and I appreciate your feedback as well. So feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it out. It is greatly appreciated. Like I said, everything's appreciated. Nothing is expected. I just hope that you're having a good time here. So gonna get ready to wrap this up. So maybe I can go get some gaming in while the night is still young. Probably will jump over and play some Battlefield here in a few minutes. If you guys are on, great. If you're not, it's all your call. But yeah, super excited for this year. It's going to be a great year in gaming, and I can't wait to get to it. And so can't wait to see everybody. A lot of the regulars, league guys on Sunday mornings. It is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to get a shower, get my breakfast, jump on the camera, pound out some gaming news, have a chat, have a laugh, and keep rocking. Yeah. So there you go. The wife took the Series X. Ooh, you were a really nice husband there, handing her over the beast. So Series S, though, great little console. Great. I love the form factor, man. That thing, fits in the cabinets. That's one thing about these two new consoles, like my Series X and my PlayStation 5, man. They're so fucking chunky. They don't really fit anywhere. Like, at least in the cabinets that I have, it's like, yeah, they're better if I put them down on the flat. But I don't know what it is. I don't like the look of these consoles when you lay them down horizontally. They kind of look corny to me. They look like they were meant to stand up. So my Series X right now, I have it on this corner stand, and it is standing up straight, and it looks really good that way. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I think I've said what I need to say, and just to remind people that, actually, I do have one more thing before we go. I did say there's going to be a lot more prizes on this upcoming podcast, and the first prize we're going to give away, I hope you guys love retro, because this is pretty cool. It's not the best retro gaming console I've ever seen out there, but I'm going to give this away to one lucky viewer. Okay? Hopefully the lucky winner probably won't be in the UK, because it cost me a fortune to send this. But this is what we're going to give away. I might have to turn off my green screen here, guys. Give me a second, because you probably won't see it very well if I don't. Where are we? Let me turn off the green screen. All right, here we go. Because without it, you won't be able to see this. Okay, you guys can see me just fine. All right, here we go. This is going to be the first prize. It's a small prize, okay? And so don't get don't get too crazy out there, but it is a prize all the same, and I think it's pretty cool. Okay, it's called the Games Console. Looks like a Game Boy kind of thing. It's got. I'm going to open it up and show you. It's a retro console. It's got. It's just over 20,000 games on this thing. I'll show it to you here. It does have a lot of games on it. That's a lot surprising. And the reason, like, I have this here, and I'm going to give it away because I have another retro console that doesn't have as many games, but it's kind of a nicer one overall. This one is a little bit small, but I'm going to take it out and show you here. So this is it's a translucent. Okay, it looks pretty cool. And I'm going to turn it on and I'll show you because it's got some cool stuff. Like this one actually has like pretty much all the major games that you can think of. I know it's kind of getting a lot of feedback off the camera here. What the hell is that? All right. Yeah, it looks cool, but like this game has got like this little console here. It actually has like it has the Simpsons arcade. It's got all the Turtles games. It's got all the Super Mario stuff. The Nintendo stuff is on there. It even has like about 137 N64 games. On the N64, I've tried out a couple. They can be a little bit hit and miss. Some games run relatively well. With some of the stuff, like I tried that Cruis'n USA game, and it chugs. But any of the 8-bit and 16-bit stuff is fantastic. See, like just scrolling back through here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I know it's hard on the screen, but we've got starting all games. As you can see, it's 20,503 games on this thing. Then you got a spot where you can save your favorites. And then there's these bunch of called Capcom. So they're a bunch of Capcom stuff. System 2, System 3. Then you got MAME. For those that are not acquainted, that is like arcade games. WWE WrestleFest is actually on here, believe it or not, which is a game that hasn't been included on the menu. We got the Atari 5200, Atari 7800, the PC Engine, the Famicom. For those of you, that's the NES. For those not acquainted, the Super Famicom, the Super Nintendo. Then we got the actual legitimate Nintendo, so the American version. Then the Super Nintendo. It's the lighting in here. It's awful. It's bouncing off the wall. We got the N64. We got the Game Boy. I'm just going to bring up the N64. I just wanted to see something here because I didn't actually look for it. I'm going to see if Conquer was on here. I don't think it was, but let's just see. No, Conquer is not on here. But we do have Diddy Kong Racing is on there. We got Doom 64. There's a lot of good games. Duke Nukem, Excitebike 64. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there. the Nintendo Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, the Sega SG-1000, the Sega Mega Drive, the Sega Dreamcast, Mega Drive obviously being Genesis as well, Dreamcast, Sega Game Gear, Neo Geo, Sony PlayStation. There's a bunch of PlayStation games on there, 15 to be exact, if you're wondering what they are. Bloody Roar, Capcom versus SNK, Castlevania Symphony of Night, Castlevania Chronicles, Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Bandicoot 3, Crash Bash. There's a bunch of stuff here. Sony PSP, there's a few of those games. 18, and there's just options and all that stuff. It's actually pretty cool. It works pretty good. Like I said, 16-bit, the 8-bit, 16-bit shit runs amazing, and there's tons of games. And some of the other stuff, the N64 stuff's a little bit hit and miss. But otherwise, it is a fantastic little portable that I'm going to give away. So what it's going to do, in order to win this, and I'm going to let you know right now, and I'll reiterate it again on the original. Let me see here. Let me just turn this off. So what we're going to do is for the first 4 weeks, so you don't have to be there for every week, but I'm going to do like I did in the past. Happy birthday, New. It's not my birthday yet, brother. Oilers down 3-0. That sucks. Yeah, Dizzy, I'll tell you, I'm going to the Oilers Leafs games on Tuesday night, so that'll be interesting. Be a lot of Leafs fans at the game. But anyway, for this portable, so for the first month of February, being the inaugural month, I'm going to take everybody's name that's in the chat. So if you're there for the first 4 weeks, you're going to have 4 chances to win. If you're only there for 1 week, you're only going to have 1 chance to win. So I'm going to be writing down everybody's name that's live in the chat. And I'll write them down, and then basically we're going to do a wheel of winning. So that would be on like week 5. So as we come into March, I'll do the giveaway, and then I'll be able to send this little puppy out to whoever is the winner. So I think it'd be kind of cool. Like I said, I want to give back to the community, and as a way of saying thanks for supporting me, and hopefully somebody can have some fun with that. Great for your kids, great for some long road trips, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. So that's what's going to happen. But again, you got to be there in order to win and all that good stuff. So, and I'm going to be giving away a lot more video games throughout the podcast and stuff as well. So, one little bit at a time, right? One little bit at a time. But again, guys, thank you so much for being here for this podcast tonight. I'll see you all on Sunday morning. Yeah, until then, just have fun. Game on, and take care of yourself. So we'll see you all soon. Any final questions before I leave? Anybody in chat? Do you have any questions about the podcast in general before I take off here? Just let me know. Thanks, Perry. I'm sure I'll see you in the chat on some of the Sunday mornings. Okay, man. I'll see you on there in a few minutes. Just give me a few minutes to kind of tidy up and shut things down, and I will definitely see you there, brother. All right. Yeah. No, I'm gonna be on in a few minutes, Towel. So I'll see you there, brother. Take care. All right, guys. Yes. Thanks. Appreciate it. No problem. And look forward, like I said, to seeing you all. And spread the word. Let's get some love. Let's get a good turnout here. And yeah, it's good to be back. See you on Sunday morning. Take care, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you then.